It is time to tell you what's going on in our communities across the Scioto Valley.
I look forward to this every day at about this time.
Do you?
I set my whole day around it.
At least somebody does. Yeah, this is about the only thing you do anymore,
Just
isn't it?
about.
Yeah,
I mowed the yard yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a chore, but
Must be nice.
I got it
Come
done.
down and do my yard for me.
Well, it sounds to me like I couldn't do it if I did come down, unless I chewed the grass myself.
Well, bring your mower with you.
Bring my goat.
Yeah, bring your goat.
Hey, we're matching again today.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, mine's the older version.
We really don't
Yours
plan
is the newer
this.
version.
This just happens at random sometimes.
That's from spending too much time together over the years, I guess.
Yeah, you need some time away from me.
Amen to that. Welcome to the daily program. Here we take a look at what's happening in and around the communities. We have the Pike County Fair that's going on right now. Ross County Fair is gearing up for next week. And, they'll probably have activity up there already before the end of this week.
Saturday,
Imagine with
usually.
harness racing and everything.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of stuff going on this time of the year, and kids getting ready to go back to school. I hate to break your heart on that, but it's going to happen. And here we are. It's senior year for our favorite Huntington cheerleader, Paradise.
God bless her.
Yeah. So we've got all that coming up and more. So stick with us during the program here today. If you're seeing us for the very first time, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook here, of course. You're looking at us now, as well as X.
Yeah.
What used to be Twitter.
Whatever that's going to become. It's still littered Twitter for us. We keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah. If you're like the rest of us that are taking forever to figure all this stuff out, it's still Twitter. All right. But first, we want to take a look at the forecast for you and see how things are shaping up.
You know, the Pike County Fair, those folks are living right.
Yes.
They have picture-perfect weather this week. Hopefully Ross County can get some of that next week. But sun and clouds mixed again today. Maybe a little more cloudy this afternoon than this morning, but a high of only 85. But that low humidity is the key
Yes.
to comfort.
Yes.
That sounds like an air conditioning commercial. doesn't it?
It does sound like an air conditioning. In fact, why don't we just jump right into
Yeah.
that? Accurate heating, cooling, and plumbing. If you're not comfortable in your home due to the atmospheric conditions in regards to the temperature or the humidity
Mm-hmm.
or the air quality or the plumbing, give these guys a call.
Absolutely.
Accurate heating, cooling, and plumbing, your trusted comfort advisor. When you call them, you'll find out why they're trusted. Get more details by clicking on this ad anywhere you see it at littermedia.com. It will take you right to their website to learn more about their services. Coming up, news next.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
For transportation options in Ross County, call Ross County Health District's Mobility Management Team, 740-779-9652. All right, let's take a look at what's making news across the Scioto Valley with Mr. News, the most trusted name in news, Mike Smith.
That's a joke. Pike County Fair is still going on today.
That it is.
Could I use a pun?
Oh, please. You always do anyway.
We're at the midway point
Uh-huh.
of the Pike County Fair. Activities are already cranking up. Rides open. 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I guess they didn't get them up till yesterday?
Well, no, they were there, I think. It's just there was a problem with getting them inspected. So I don't know if there was a delay for the inspector or whatever the case may be, but they finally got them up and running yesterday.
Gotcha. Well, if you're into the livestock scene there, of course, the Market Hog Show, that's at the Multipurpose Building at 6 o'clock. Fast Tracks Racing SX at the Grandstand tonight at 7 o'clock. And there you have the schedule for all of that.
What does that feel like to be in the air on a four-wheeler, knowing that you're going to be landing soon?
My back would be crushed pretzel after it comes down. Yeah, you can't even jar me and it doesn't throw me out of whack. So yeah that's not for me. To watch, but not to participate. Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun to see some of the grandstand stuff. Last night, I was unable to be there, but I want to say thank you to Visit Pike County. If that grandstand holds 2,000 people, there have to be another 2,500 people around the bus derby last night. The school bus derby, I watched someone's Facebook Live of this. It was awesome.
And this was the first time they've ever done it.
First time they've ever done this. And as you can see, a lot of people were there to check it out. If you have a county fair close to you, you better be considering doing something like this because they've got a hit on their hands, literally. And here was the winner. This is Jenny Renner's Waverly bus. Look at the smoke coming out.
Wow.
When she figured it out, man, she put the pedal to the metal. I've never heard a school bus sound like this before. And I rode with Rosie back at Tays Valley Schools she was one of my bus drivers, and she got stuck one time, and I heard the wheels going around. The wheels on this bus were really going round and round. Yeah. It was something to watch. But thank you to the Waverly Tiger Club for giving her a big salute. But I want to show you, they got a big trophy. Here it is. This thing is humongous. But that was when the dust was settling, the last one standing. And they were calling her Wreck-It Renner. So they were cheering her on big time. So congratulations to all the contestants that participated. But that bus was beat up. And you didn't use the front. You used the back. But I tell you, she lost her brakes because I thought, why is she crashing into the concrete and barrier set there? Well, she had no brakes. So she crashed into that. She would stop, gather herself, put the pedal to the metal, and then crank into somebody behind her. It was absolutely awesome.
This is probably how most bus drivers feel like driving when they get frustrated with some ornery kids.
Talk about taking your frustrating out. And I'm telling you, I'm sure they were using that mirror that they always look in to keep an eye on the kids. They were looking for the buses behind them to go at. My concern is, what about school year this year?
Well, she can use that. You remember we seen what I did at the Derby? Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
No, I'm telling you, the kids getting on the bus. All right, let's go. Let's make this thing move.
That may be the last trip that the board lets her take. Congratulations on the inaugural championship at the bus derby at Pike County Fair last night. Morgan Oberle, the public information officer.
Whoops. Yeah, I forgot to put that in there. I'm sorry.
Well, if you missed that, she was with ODOT East Central Ohio District 5.
We'll put her on tomorrow's show.
Okay, which covers 7 counties, including Fairfield. If you missed that on our special edition this morning, you can go back and see that on our Facebook Live page. Pickaway County Community Action is hosting a poverty simulation to help the community better understand the day-to-day issues facing those living in poverty. The one-day event will take place August 10th from 9:30 to 12:30 at Heritage Hall at the Pickaway County Fairgrounds. If you'd like to get more information, this is going to be limited to 74 people. And if you'd like to be involved in that, go to our website, story@littermedia.com, and you can find the link on how to sign up. Chillicothe Ross Chamber of Commerce is partnering with the Better Business Bureau of Central Ohio to bring an informative workshop to Ross County business owners and consumers. The workshop is scheduled for it's 2 weeks, Wednesday the 16th of August, between 10 and 11 at the Chillicothe Ross Chamber of Commerce, or you can hook up via Zoom. There's another link there on our website, story@littermedia.com, where you can find out how to participate. Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central Ohio has set October 14th as the date of their 12th annual Dance for Kids fundraiser to benefit their child mentoring program. Now, you might remember the event last year was at the fairgrounds.
In the steer barn.
2 years ago, it was at OU Chillicothe's Shoemaker Center parking lot. Well, they're returning to the indoors at Shoemaker Center this year. Dance participants will be announced later this month, so stay tuned for that. When that is announced, we'll have all kind of stuff on that.
Yeah, well, Debbie Bettendorf and I will be back to MC the event again this year, and I've been involved with every one of these. This has been a lot of fun.
You actually danced in one of them.
Well, the very first one I danced, yeah. Well,
Does your denomination permit that?
It's too late now.
Too late now. They haven't kicked you. And you just got promoted in the denomination. They didn't know. Oops, I didn't let that cat out of the bag. Wow.
Heck, they're probably in the crowd. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Enjoying the show.
Well, speaking of letting the cat out of the bag, the Community Cat Initiative is on now for cat owners in Fayette, Clinton, Highland, and Ross counties. The Fayette Humane Society has openings for income-qualified cat owners. You can have your cats sterilized or vaccinated for a very low cost. Again, you can go to our website, story@littermedia.com, to get more information on how you can get more info. As part of the Ohio Department of Transportation District 9's Planning Department, the district's environmental office is seeking public input for a safety project to improve crosswalks on US 50 and US 62 in Hillsborough, and for a bridge rehabilitation on State Route 753, also in Highland County. Comments on both of those projects must be submitted by August 31st. Again, go to our website and you can get more information about that. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources is laying out a plan that looks at the future of outdoor recreation and wants Ohioans to weigh in on what they want to see. ODNR developed a draft of its statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, and after engaging with public and outdoor recreation providers and conducting a statewide survey. It's a 5-year strategic plan that guides state and local investments for developing and managing outdoor recreation and facilities. Again, get more on all of that at littermedia.com. Road report today, we're staying close to home in Ross County. Work has begun for resurfacing projects on State Route 41 between Lapparell Road and US 50, as well as on US 50 between the village of Bainbridge and Lower Twin Road. Work daily goes between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and during construction, traffic is being maintained in one lane with the use of flaggers. They expect this work to be done sometime this summer. And that is a look at your topics. And again, if you want to find out about road reports in surrounding counties as well, you'll find that on our navigation bar at littermedia.com.
During the latter part of your newscast, I was watching this video from Cedar Point, which will be opening sometime soon for this ride, Top Thrill 2. It takes everything that was Top Thrill Dragster and has given you more of an experience. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got to get my hands on the video so we can share this on the show
Looks
tomorrow.
like a big U.
It is a
U-shaped track.
It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope that it doesn't have the breakdowns like what Top Thrill Dragster always had. Mm-hmm. I've only ridden Top Thrill Dragster, I think, 3 times. Want a different ride every time. I rode it.
Has it deteriorated or what?
No. Well, they had the issue with it last year, I think it was, where a bolt had fallen off and it hit somebody.
Ooh.
That was what shut the ride down. Mm-hmm. But I rode it for the first time in the sunlight. And, I mean, you are going straight up into the sky, mm-hmm. and then you kind of come down, and then you're just going right down to the ground. Absolute thrill. Then we wanted to ride it again. Well, it had been shut down the whole time we were there. The park was beginning to close, and they finally got it open. So we're riding it at nighttime. And you talk about going into pitch darkness. you hit it at 128 miles an hour. You're going straight up. Was it 400 feet? I think it is. And you see nothing but like the stars coming at you. and then you go right back down to it and you see darkness, and then you see the ground start coming up at you real quick. All that happens in like 10 seconds.
Better than Space Mountain?
Well, it's been 30 years since I've ridden Space Mountain, so I can't say.
That was a lot of
No, I take it back. It's been 45 years since I rode Space Mountain.
Somebody's getting old.
Somebody's got to go back to Florida and check that out. So, all right. Somebody just needs a vacation. That's all there is.
There you go. I've been trying to tell him, folks.
If somebody is stow my wife and I away on your car and just drive us down.
Take us there.
We'll take a look. We won't take up much room at all. We've been in close corners.
Put them on a plane. So. Get them down there. Yeah. Go
right.
fund me. Go fund Dan and Missy.com or whatever.
It's not a financial issue. It's a time issue, finding time to be able to do stuff. All right, coming up, we'll take a look at sports. We do have time for that, so we'll share that with you in just a moment. First, we want to tell you about Scioto Valley Dumpsters, 740-253-8389. Have you memorized that phone number yet? 740-253-8389. Scioto Valley Dumpsters. They'll bring a dumpster to your location, you fill it up, they haul it away. It's that simple. Get more details when you call Carl, 740-253-8389. And as we always say,
tell them Dan and Mike sent you. I wasn't sure where we were going with that. Yeah.
He doesn't have the phone number memorized either.
Yeah.
At 740-253-8389. Sports next.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
As a professional race car driver, I live for speed, power, and performance, on and off the track. That's why I use the Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Race into your local dealership today and test drive a new Dixie Chopper.
Time now for sports, and where are we starting this time?
Let's start with high school. We've told you that practices are all getting started, and almost every school does this, but Chillicothe city schools for middle school and high school, they'll be having their Meet the Team nights for the fall sports season, and that's coming up on August the 16th at 7 p.m. in the Hatton Gymnasium. That's also the same date as the open houses at both the middle school and high school. So this 7 p.m. event comes right after the open house event. So while you're there, just stop over at Hatton and see who's doing what in all of the fall sports.
And first day of school is the next day?
I have to look at our story at littermedia.com to tell you, because there was I don't know how many schools you tracked on that, 25 or 30. So there's a bunch of them on there. Boy. Paint's off last night, the night before, but back in action tonight. They're already playoff bound, but I think they want to finish on a roll here and send a message.
A preview right here.
Yeah, send a message to the team you're going to see in this Sunday's playoff game, the Champion City Kings. That game tonight is at Springfield, 6:35 start time. This is the one I went, oh my gosh. The Cubs absolutely throttled the Reds last night, 20-9. I stopped watching it when it was 10-2, and it got worse after that.
Yeah.
So let's just burn the tape and move on. Well, the news wasn't a whole lot better for the Guardians. Framber Valdez threw the 16th no-hitter in Houston Astros history in a 2-0 win over the Cleveland Guardians last night. Now, the deal here...
all the hits were being hit in Chicago.
Yeah. Valdez had been traded to Houston from the New York Mets just hours before pitching the no-hitter. So I guess if you were going to be on, Dusty Baker was saying, thanks for waiting to save it for us.
And how about the Astros? I mean, they get a no-hitter and Justin Verlander back in the same day.
Yeah. Not a bad day. And speaking of the trade deadline, other than Sam Moll coming over for Oakland, the Reds stayed pat and didn't trade anybody else.
I did catch the interview that Bally Sports Jim Day did with Nick Kroll. And did you see any of that?
I heard he was going to be up in the third inning, but by that time I gave up on it.
Checked out. He was talking about the fact that other teams wanted too much in return to be able to make that deal. And he said, the way things are going right now, we like where we are. And Hunter Green begins his rehab assignment this week. Then you've got Nick Lodolo, who's right on the heels of coming back as well. Now, if those two guys perform up to their capabilities and the offense doesn't fall off, Nick Kroll, again, is going to look like a genius.
Yeah. Seems like they have another reliever that's also doing rehab.
Yes, TJ.
That's the guy I'm thinking of.
TJ Antone?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
So, if those guys come back healthy and pitch the way they're capable, you don't need any stinking badges.
And Antone, before he was injured, man, he was lights out as a reliever. And even, I think, did a spot start or two as well. And I had wondered what happened to him, and I believe he had Tommy John surgery, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of times you're out for, a year and a half?
Yeah.
When you go through that. Yeah. And remember Vladimir Gutierrez? He's still coming back from his Tommy John surgery. If he comes back into this rotation, again,
we don't need anything else.
Yeah, can we make this drive through August and really get us to September? That's where it's going to come down to brass tacks.
Yes, sir. Okay. Go Reds. Go Guardians.
This state in history.
1990.
1990. So we're going back, but not real back.
I remember where I was when this happened.
I think I do too, if I'm not mistaken. All right, coming up, we'll take a look at that. But we want to tell you about McDonald's. McDonald's today in Circleville, Chillicothe, Greenfield, and Waverly is holding their open interviews. So if you are looking for work still, maybe you've got a kid who's starting back to school and they want a car, and it's like, all right, get a job. Go in today and meet with the manager from 2 until 5 at any one of those 7 locations for McDonald's here locally. And you get a chance to learn about being on the McCrew, but also if you are ready to go, you might be put to work that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could see that happen. You could be learning how to make sure that you do the right thing with the fries and all that kind of stuff. Or maybe it's just customer service or perhaps a cleanup job. I saw one of the guys out scrubbing the sidewalks here the other day. If you ever go into one of the local McDonald's, they're pretty clean. And they make sure everybody does their chore, so to speak.
And your biggest task will be making sure you remember how Mike Smith likes his cheeseburgers cooked.
Yes.
Plain.
And to remind people to round up, because when you round up, that money goes to the Ronald McDonald House, which we'll be talking more about in the coming weeks, because pretty soon it's going to be the handbag hullabaloo all over again. So that's coming up too. So make sure you stop in today at McDonald's.
I'm loving it.
Coming up, this date in history.
At Rathkamp Financial, we provide wealth management services that may ease clients' fears of financial loss and help them retire comfortably. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
It's time to get serious about your lawn. It's time to step up to the best mower brand money can buy. For nearly 4 decades, Skag has been the easy choice for lawn care professionals. Don't settle for anything less than simply the best when it comes to mowing your lawn. There's sure to be a Skag model that's perfect for your yard, big or small. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood. Visit your local Skag dealer today. Skag, simply the best.
If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just
it's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra.
Time to step back into the Litter Media Wayback Machine. Not going too far, back to 1990.
I was at Holden Beach on vacation on this date in 1990. But that's not the memory. At 2 a.m. local time on this date in 1990, Iraqi forces invaded Kuwait, Iraq's tiny oil-rich neighbor. Kuwait's defense forces were rapidly overwhelmed, and those that were not destroyed retreated to Saudi Arabia. By August 9th, Operation Desert Shield, the American defense of Saudi Arabia, began as U.S. forces raced to the Persian Gulf. It was on January 16th of 1991, Operation Desert Storm, the massive U.S.-led offensive against Iraq, began as the first fighter aircraft were launched from Saudi Arabia and off U.S. and British aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf. And then on February 24th, a massive coalition ground offensive begins. It lasts 4 days, and it's on February 28th of 91 that President George Bush declared a ceasefire. But it all started on this date in 1990 when Iraq invaded Kuwait. And how many folks do we know in this area, family, friends, that participated in what was to come for months after and even years?
My brother-in-law was a tank operator in that. A Bradley tank, I think he was driving. I think that's what it was.
Or an Abram, one or the other, yeah.
But, I don't remember specifically the Kuwait invasion. I remember it happening. Yeah. I wasn't at Holden Beach, I can tell you that. But what I do remember was John Rose and I were very much prepared for having our Cavalier basketball broadcast interrupted by the potential of the U.S. striking back and getting involved in that. I recall that vividly, sitting up, and we used to be in the upper balcony portion of Hatton Gym for the broadcasts, and we were sitting there, and Bob Neal was keeping us up to date onto, this may happen during the broadcast. We just want you guys to be prepared. So
I remember when of course this was later on, when the announcement came that U.S. fighter jets were taking off the aircraft carriers, Dan Rather broke in on CBS with the note, and Dan, he got choked up when he was, because the way he said it, America is once again at war. Now, whatever you think of Dan Rather as a reporter or whatever, he was a correspondent in Vietnam, other conflicts that the U.S. Armed Forces had been in. So I don't think you could see all the things that someone like that had over the years and not get a little choked up to think, here we go again. But talking about being interrupted on the airwaves, Tom Beard and I were doing a girls' basketball game at Southeastern. They were hosting Adena in a critical SBC basketball game, and we kept having to break away because Iraq was shooting Scud missiles at Israel. And you're thinking, okay, World War III is breaking out, and we're here at a high school game. And if you watched or listened to many of our broadcasts over the years, after that night, whenever a player would take a shot that just kind of died and didn't hit the rim, Tom would refer to it as a scud. And that's where it originated that particular night.
Yeah, Scud got it. That was, talked about Dan Rather. I remember as a kid watching him on CBS News because Walter Cronkite was always on our TV. And in the jungle somewhere was Dan Rather reporting, and in some instances you could hear bullets flying behind him while he was reporting. So as a news anchor, almost 30 years later, I got to think that did bring back emotions for him.
I'm sure it did.
And even Walter Cronkite, wasn't he involved in World War II broadcasting in that
with
fashion?
UPI? Andy, what was the fellow on 60 Minutes? The curmudgeon.
Oh, Andy, yeah.
Andy Rooney. They both worked, I believe, for UPI as World War II correspondents, Yeah.
I was thinking about a radio moment, and there's nothing more difficult. Well, there is, I imagine, I don't remember ever doing a game in which someone was injured so badly that they died. That would be really horrific. But there's nothing like trying to wait out a lightning delay in a broadcast. Yeah. And I was thinking back to delays that we've had to wade our way through. Now, full disclosure here with WKKJ, back when you were working there and I was working there, if we broke away, we could say, turn on the music and just play music until we come back and we'll check in with you later. Well, we didn't always have that luxury with WBEX because our board ops were not always fluent in how to make things like that happen. Which means you would have to go back to a network, a syndicated network program. Then you'd have to jump back in with all this programming to reprogram everything. So instead of doing that and making that person in the studio jump through the hoops, we decided to hang in there. One night in particular was at Jackson High School. This was in recent times, around 2016, I believe it was, maybe 2015. And the game didn't even get started. We were waiting and waiting and waiting. Coming on at the time was he the mayor at the time? Randy Heath?
Oh, he was Mayor Jackson. Yeah, very well.
He was doing the public address for Jackson City Schools. And I can't remember if he was the chamber president or the mayor at the time.
He was both.
Simultaneously.
Both.
That's okay. Well, he came over to help us kill time. And if I'm not mistaken, we also got one or two of the announcers from Jackson to come on. And we talked about the history of the rivalry between Chillicothe and Jackson. Now, if those of you that know that Chillicothe and Jackson play all the time, it's the rivalry game in the FAC. But turn back the clock, they hadn't played from 1976 until around 2007, I think it was. So there was a big gap where the two didn't meet at the varsity level. They did, however, meet at the Pee Wee football level. And so when they resumed the series, these kids were chomping at the bit to go at it each other, because, gosh, I remember playing them when we were in the 5th grade, that sort of thing. Well, now it was for all the marbles. And this game going in, they just couldn't get the game started. We had a 90-minute delay, but we were well prepared for the next night. So we had to come back and play the game the next day. Another one was down at Gallia Academy, and rain hit right at the start of warm-ups for the pregame. And so whenever there's a lightning strike, you got to wait, 30 minutes?
Yes, but there's been a rule change on that.
And I think that's the reason why, is because of all the delays. And even watching a NASCAR race here recently, there was a lightning strike. It was well away from the racetrack, but they could not continue things until 30 minutes had passed to make sure that it didn't pop up again. So that was always a challenge in doing those sorts of things. But we had some folks on from Gallia Academy talking about their school, and even they were talking at that time about building a new school. So we had some other people on talking about that and the campaign for getting a new school and everything. So we tried our best to bring you more than just the game in those times, because we were kind of painted in the corner and we had no other choice.
There were 2 years in a row at Logan Elm High School that we had 90-minute delays. And I think one of the persons in the press box recalled that this was the second year in a row it happened with us there and said, Mike, you think you could skip this game next year? So, and then there was another night down at the old Southeastern High School when it was at Richmondale. We were doing the Southeastern, this will show you how long ago this was, North Gallia.
Oh, my.
There is no North Gallia anymore. It's consolidated football game. The fog rolled in. It was so foggy, we could not, and this was before we had sideline reporters. That would have been a big help.
Yeah.
You could not hardly see the near sideline out of the press box. There was nothing you couldn't see. Well, my pastor, Fred Fox, the late Fred Fox, being the great friend that he is, knew that we were not able to see, and he turned around and yelled up in the press box, "Go ahead and make up the names anyway. You don't know who's out there anyway." I said, "Thanks, Pastor Fred."
I have it on authority by my pastor that we can do this.
Oh, so yeah, the things that happen while you're out there doing live radio.
You try your best to be prepared as well, and some things you can try to over-prepare for things. Rosters aren't always as they seem, or they make jersey number changes and that sort of thing. And I recall the first time this happened, I believe it was with John Rose and I, again, we're talking almost 30 years ago, in which we don't know who this kid is. He's wearing number 15, so we thought of who wore number 15 in our past, and that's the name of the kid. And if it was for the other team other than Chillicothe, no big deal, right? Because nobody's paying attention from the other school. And so Archie Griffin had been on the field, Randy Gratishar, all those types of names that were famous. And we carried that into the days when Pat Hyland and I were doing the play-by-play as well. So
we just always say the phantom player. Now, the thing that always would stick in my craw, you go over these rosters with a coach before the game, and most of the time they're they're not paying attention, and then when you get in the game, that's not what you had. So,
well, the one that kills me is when you've gone over it with the coaches and everything, and then you get to that point, and you look, and the PA announcer's also looking at you. Do you know who this kid is?
Yeah. Or can you pronounce this name?
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times the coach didn't even have the right. And then the parents call the radio station and say, "That's not the way his name is pronounced." Well, you better tell your coach because he don't know either. That's not a good sign if the coach doesn't know how to pronounce a kid's name.
I'm not going to embarrass him. He's no longer with us, but he was my 8th grade history teacher. And we had a kid move in. This was when Lockbourne was still an Air Force base.
Yeah.
And a number of kids were being adopted from Vietnam. And so this is the tail end of the, so I can't remember his name, but my teacher could not pronounce the kid's name. And he just looks at him and says, "I'm going to call you Sonny." You're Sonny. So here's a teacher from the World War II era trying to look at this Asian name, and he couldn't figure it out, and suddenly the nickname fell into play.
Sonny, yeah.
You're Sonny.
You're Sonny.
And he was Sonny the rest of the year.
Is that right? Yeah. That's great.
All right, good times back in the old days, except for Sonny. But he didn't know any different. He just kind of smiled and nodded his head and went on.
Whatever.
All right, tomorrow you've got a special guest.
Bob Neal from the Raw Soil Water Conservation
He is
District.
a special guest.
Will be in for a special edition at 10. We kind of alluded to what Bob will be talking about on our news yesterday. Their annual banquet on September 7th. They're having a kind of like a panel discussion during that concerning water resources and water quality in the air. But Bob will be here to talk more about that tomorrow morning.
Because he's the expert.
He's the expert.
We're not. All right, that's it for the program today. We'll have this up on our YouTube channel a little bit later on, or you can watch it on Videos on Demand here on our videos page here from Litter Media on Facebook as well. And if you heard something that you wanted to share with other people, please share it. Let them know. Just like when they had the pool. Last time I saw, there was like 917 shares on that.
Yeah.
Incredible. So get the word out that Litter Media is talking about the good stuff going on in our communities. For the icon, Mike Smith, I'm Dan Ramey. We'll talk to you tomorrow.